Hey folks, grab a coffee and settle in. This one happened right here in Willow Creek Estates, our sleepy little suburban paradise outside Chicago where every lawn is mowed on schedule and every mailbox matches the HOA color chart. On the surface, it looked like the American dream. Kids on bikes, weekend BBQs, that perfect white picket vibe. But underneath, a web of rules, spies, and one woman who thought the neighborhood was her personal kingdom. Let me introduce you to Ethan Caldwell. 42, software engineer, married to his high school sweetheart Lisa, dad to two little girls who just wanted to ride their scooters in the driveway without getting cited. Ethan was the guy who waved at everyone, paid his dues on time, and never once complained about the endless newsletters. He just wanted to live quietly on the edge lot where his long private driveway curved back to the house. Nothing fancy, just the only way to get home without cutting through the whole subdivision. Then came Vanessa Sterling. Everyone called her Karen behind her back, but never to her face. President of the Willow Creek HOA for 6 straight years, perfect blowout hair, always clutching that clipboard like it was the Constitution. Vanessa didn't just enforce rules, she invented new ones on the spot if they suited her. And her favorite target lately? Anyone who dared own anything she couldn't control. The morning it all blew up started ordinary enough. Ethan pulled into the Shell station just after sunrise, same as every Tuesday, topping off his truck before the girls' soccer practice. Frost still sparkled on the pump handles. He swiped his card, nozzle clicked, and the diesel hummed. Nothing dramatic. Until the click-clack of those signature heels cut across the lot like gunfire. "You there? Stop what you're doing." Vanessa marched straight at him, sunglasses perched on her nose even though the sun was barely up. Her white SUV sat crooked across 2 spots, one of them the disabled one. "I need that pump immediately. HOA emergency." Ethan kept the nozzle steady. "Morning, Vanessa. Pumps are open. Swipe your card like everyone else." Her mouth dropped open exactly like she'd never heard the word no before. "You don't understand. Ridge Hollow. No, Willow Creek vehicles get priority service. We're invoiced monthly. Community contribution gives us rights." Ethan actually laughed once, short and dry. "Ma'am, this is an HOA property. It's a gas station. Everyone waits." That single laugh lit her fuse. She snapped her fingers like summoning servants. "This is discrimination against the homeowners who keep this neighborhood livable. I demand you hand over that pump right now." The couple at pump 3 paused, coffee in hand, already smelling drama. Ethan capped his tank, calm as ever. "I'm done anyway. Go ahead." But she wasn't satisfied with winning. She needed total surrender. "No. You will apologize and acknowledge HOA authority." Her voice rose an octave, the classic Karen pitch that makes dogs hide. Phones came out. She started filming. "This man is refusing essential service to a community leader. He's hostile. I feel unsafe." Then, right there in front of the morning crowd, she dialed 911. "This is an emergency. A resident is blocking my access to fuel and threatening me. Send deputies now." Ethan just leaned against his truck, arms crossed, watching the show. Inside, he was already thinking, this isn't about gas. Something else is coming. When the sheriff's cruiser rolled up 10 minutes later, Vanessa practically sprinted to Deputy Ramirez like a damsel in distress. "Officer, thank God. This man denied me service and created a hostile environment." Ramirez looked at Ethan, recognized him from the annual block party, and sighed the sigh of every cop who's answered HOA calls before. "Mr. Caldwell, did you threaten anyone?" "No, sir. I filled my tank." "She demanded priority and called you when I said no." Vanessa thrust her clipboard forward. "I have documentation. Our bylaws clearly state." Ramirez held up a hand. "Ma'am, this station isn't under your bylaws." That's when the first tiny fracture appeared. In her fury to grab more papers, Vanessa dropped 2 sheets that skittered across the pavement and landed at Ethan's boots. He picked them up before she could snatch them back. The top page was a proposed community access corridor map, his own private driveway highlighted in red, labeled Phase 1 Expansion for Willow Creek Community Center Parking. The second page was worse. A county survey with boundaries clearly altered, someone's handwriting scribbling new lines that swallowed the entire length of his driveway. Ethan's stomach tightened, but he kept his face blank. He snapped photos with his phone right there, timestamp visible, while Vanessa's face went from red to ghost white. "Give those back," she hissed. "Those are internal HOA documents." Ethan folded them once and handed them straight to Ramirez. "Officer, these look like they claim ownership over my private property. Mind keeping them as evidence?" Ramirez took them without hesitation. Vanessa's voice cracked. "This is outrageous. You're interfering with community planning." The deputy just shook his head. "Ma'am, I suggest you leave before this escalates further." She stormed off, tires screeching, but the damage was done. Ethan drove home that morning knowing two things. Vanessa wasn't just a garden-variety Karen. She was coming for his driveway. And he was done being quiet. The next weeks were death by 1,000 citations. First, it was the unauthorized driveway edging fine, $2.50 for the exact same concrete that had been there when he bought the house. Then the anonymous complaint about his daughter's scooters obstructing community flow. Then the HOA compliance team, 3 guys in matching polo shirts, showed up at his gate with cameras, claiming they had jurisdiction for inspection. Ethan stood on his porch, phone recording the whole time. "This is private property. Leave." One of them smirked. "It won't be private much longer, Mr. Caldwell. President Sterling's expansion plan is moving forward." Ethan didn't argue. He just smiled that small, dangerous smile and kept filming. Every violation notice, every trespass, every whispered threat. He saved it all in a folder labeled Vanessa's Greatest Hits. Lisa noticed the change first. "Ethan, you're not sleeping. Talk to me." He told her everything over late-night coffee. "She wants our driveway so Victor Kane can build that fancy community center and charge residents extra fees. They forged the maps. I have proof." Lisa's eyes hardened. "Then we fight. For the girls. For every family they'll bully next." That was the moment Ethan stopped being the patient neighbor and became the guy who would burn their whole scheme down, with receipts. By month 2, the harassment was nonstop. Vanessa started a neighborhood safety campaign on the private Willow Creek Facebook page, posting blurry screenshots of Ethan's truck blocking emergency access and hinting that certain residents refused to cooperate with progress. Comments poured in. "He's ruining property values. Call code enforcement." Ethan read every one, heart pounding with that slow burn rage you feel when bullies wear polo shirts and call it community standards. But he never replied. He just documented. And he waited. The real turning point, the twist nobody saw coming, happened on a rainy Thursday evening. Ethan was reviewing footage from the new security cameras he'd quietly installed along the driveway when his doorbell rang. It was old Mrs. Hargrove from 3 houses down, the sweet widow who baked cookies for everyone. She looked nervous, clutching an envelope. "Ethan, dear, I found these in my mailbox by mistake. They're from Vanessa's office. I think you should see them before she realizes they're missing." Inside, the real county filing packet. Not the polished version she showed the board. This one had handwritten notes in the margin, Vanessa's own handwriting, admitting the boundary lines were adjusted for convenience, and, even better, a separate spreadsheet showing she'd quietly transferred HOA maintenance funds into a personal account labeled V. Sterling Consulting. She was stealing from the very community she claimed to protect. Ethan's hands shook, not with fear, but with the electric thrill of perfect timing. He scanned every page, backed them up to 3 clouds, and called the one person he knew could weaponize this, Sarah Whitfield, land use attorney who'd grown up in Willow Creek and hated Vanessa almost as much as he did. They met at her downtown office the next morning. Sarah spread the papers across her desk like a poker player laying down a royal flush. "This isn't just overreach, Ethan. This is felony-level fraud plus embezzlement. She forged county documents and pocketed HOA money. We have her dead to rights." For the first time in weeks, Ethan laughed, a real one. "So what's the play?" Sarah grinned like a shark. "We let her keep digging. Then we drop the hammer at the public hearing she's been begging the county to schedule. She thinks she's winning. She's about to learn what happens when the quiet guy has receipts." Meanwhile, Vanessa doubled down. She sent, final warning, letters demanding Ethan grant temporary community easement or face daily fines. Her compliance team showed up again, this time with a drone buzzing over his backyard while the girls were playing. Ethan stepped outside, Phone up. Smile for the camera, boys. This footage is going straight to the sheriff and the county planning board. The drone operator actually hesitated. One of the guys muttered, President Sterling said you'd cooperate. Ethan's voice stayed ice calm. Tell President Sterling that forging maps and stealing HOA funds tends to make people uncooperative. Their faces went pale. They packed up and left faster than they came. Word was already spreading, quietly at first, through back channels. People were starting to whisper that maybe Vanessa wasn't the hero she pretended to be. The public hearing was set for the following Tuesday at County Hall. Vanessa arrived like she was walking the red carpet. Designer suit, fresh highlights. Victor Kane, the slick developer who stood to make millions off the new community center, right beside her like a bodyguard. She took the podium first, voice dripping honeyed concern. Commissioner, the Caldwell driveway has become a safety hazard. Our maps clearly show it as essential community access. Mr. Caldwell has repeatedly refused cooperation, endangering our children and property values. The room murmured. Ethan sat in the back row with Lisa, Sarah, and a thick binder that felt heavier than his truck. He let her talk. Let her paint him as the villain. Then Sarah stood. Commissioner, may I? She didn't wait for permission. She walked forward and laid the first exhibit on the table. The original county survey from when the subdivision was built. His driveway, clearly private. Then the forged version Vanessa submitted, lines redrawn in different ink. The commissioner's eyebrows shot up. Sarah kept going, voice steady but carrying. And here's the real kicker. She clicked the projector. The embezzlement spreadsheet filled the screen, Vanessa's own signature at the bottom. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Vanessa's perfect smile froze. Those are taken out of context, she sputtered. Sarah smiled thinly. Context like the $47,000 you moved into your personal account last quarter? Or the drone footage of your team trespassing on private property? Victor Kane tried to jump in, smooth as oil. This is a misunderstanding. We're simply trying to improve the neighborhood. Ethan finally stood. His voice wasn't loud, but every microphone picked it up. Improve it by stealing my driveway, so you can charge residents extra for parking? Improve it by forging county documents and pocketing their money? No, Victor. That's not improvement. That's theft with better stationery. The room erupted. Phones came out again, this time filming Vanessa's face turning the color of old cottage cheese. The commissioner banged his gavel, but he was smiling. We're recessing for 30 minutes. I suggest both parties prepare for some very uncomfortable questions. During the break, Vanessa cornered Ethan in the hallway, voice low and venomous. You think you're clever? This community will turn on you. I'll make sure of it. Ethan looked her dead in the eye for the first time. Vanessa, the only thing turning today is your entire scam. Enjoy the fall. She actually took a half step back. That was the moment she realized the quiet dad she'd bullied for months had never been weak. He'd just been waiting for the perfect stage. When the hearing resumed, the energy had flipped. The commissioner didn't even let Vanessa speak again. He read the findings straight from Sarah's binder. The county finds the submitted boundary maps fraudulent. The complaint against Mr. Caldwell is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, we are referring the embezzlement evidence and forgery to the district attorney for criminal charges. Vanessa's knees actually buckled. Victor Kane suddenly remembered an urgent meeting and tried to slip out the side door, only to find 2 county investigators waiting with badges. The HOA board members in the front row looked like they'd been slapped awake from a cult. One of them stood up, voice shaking. We had no idea the maps were fake. The commissioner just shook his head. Ignorance isn't a defense when you vote to approve them. The real he came outside on the courthouse steps. Reporters had shown up. Somehow the story had leaked. Microphones thrust at Vanessa as she tried to hurry to her SUV. President Sterling, did you forge county documents? Is it true you misused HOA funds for personal expenses? How do you respond to the criminal referral? She tried the classic Karen pivot. This is harassment. But her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan stood on the steps with Lisa and the girls, not gloating, just standing tall while cameras flashed. A local news anchor asked him for a comment. He kept it simple. I just wanted to protect my family's home. Turns out protecting it meant protecting the whole neighborhood from someone who thought rules only applied to everyone else. That night Willow Creek Estates felt different. The Facebook page exploded with people posting old violation notices they'd received and suddenly realizing how many had been bogus. The next morning, the emergency board meeting sign went up at the community center. By afternoon, the vote was unanimous. Vanessa Sterling removed as president, pending criminal investigation. Victor Kane's development permits were frozen, and the county issued a formal apology letter to Ethan along with reimbursement for every fine he'd ever paid. 2 weeks later, the final domino fell. The district attorney held a press conference announcing charges: forgery, falsification of public records, and embezzlement against Vanessa Sterling. Victor Kane was named co-conspirator. The HOA itself was placed under state oversight and eventually voted into dissolution by the residents. Turns out once the fear disappeared, nobody wanted to keep paying dues to a system that had been weaponized against them. Ethan watched the news from his porch, girls giggling on their scooters in the driveway that was finally, officially, undeniably theirs. Lisa leaned against him. "You never raised your voice once." He smiled. "Didn't need to. The truth is louder than any clipboard." Old Mrs. Hargrove brought over cookies the next day. "Ethan, you did more than save your driveway. You saved the soul of this neighborhood." He accepted the plate with a quiet laugh. "Just did what any neighbor should. And that, folks, is the real story. Not the screaming matches or viral videos, though those were glorious. It's the quiet guy who refused to bow, who collected every receipt, who waited for the perfect moment, and then let the system chew up the bully who thought she owned everything." Vanessa tried to run a kingdom on fear and forged paper. Ethan reminded everyone that real power still lives in the truth, a good lawyer, and the courage to say, "This is mine," and mean it. If you've ever had an HOA Karen breathing down your neck, drop a "justice served" in the comments. And if you want more stories where the little guy finally gets to smile while the entitled one watches her empire burn, hit subscribe. Willow Creek is peaceful again, but you never know when the next clipboard queen will show up. Until then, keep your driveway clear, your cameras rolling, and your receipts organized. Because in the suburbs, the real drama isn't the rules. It's what happens when someone finally decides to enforce the one rule that matters. Don't mess with a man who's done collecting evidence.